honor to bring up our first presenter for today. Our first presentation will focus on combating financial crime in real time. You would agree that although technology is an enabler, it also poses its own challenges, especially when you talk about financial crime. So we'll be talking on combating financial crime in real time. And to present this, I would love to welcome an experienced information security leader with over a decade professional experience. He has spoken at conferences, delivered trainings, mentored high-performing teams, and advised C-suite executives throughout his career. He's worked and consulted in the financial services, healthcare, technology, retail, logistics, and telecommunication sectors, solving security problems for organizations across EMEIA. His specialty areas include application security, DevSecOps, cloud security, red teaming, amongst others. Please join me today at the second day of the Zenith Tech Fair to make welcome a manager cybersecurity at Ernst & Young, Kelly Orjiude, for his presentation. I mean, who better to do this than Mr. Kelly? You've heard and his profile being read. He's an amazing man, and he will take us through combating financial crime in real time. A warm round of applause for him as he comes up stage. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, sir. Who would have thought that I'll be sharing the front row seat with the great Jim Ovie? So while I'm still in awe, I think I'll just try and do justice to my presentation. So I have 15 minutes, and I'll brush through, some of the items I have here. So what's the agenda? The topic is combating financial crime in real time. And we'll start by defining what financial crime is, the current challenges, steps organizations can take and should be taking, a shift from the current controls that we have, which is rule-based, to machine learning fraud detection, and some use cases when it comes to real-time detection, and some of the benefits of machine learning. Okay, so financial crime, I don't have the stats, but you can agree with me that it's ravaged a lot of industries in the last decade. It refers to all crimes committed by an individual or a group of individuals that involve taking money or other property that belongs to someone else to obtain financial or professional gain. And there are different types of financial crime. Cybercrime is what excites me because I'm in the cybersecurity space. You have money laundering, terrorist financing, which in the last few years has been a problem in Nigeria. And, you have others like bribery, corruption, market abuse, and insider dealing. In the news lately, you will agree with me that EFCC has done quite a lot. It's been reported that in 2022, I believe, over 2,800 people have been convicted of cybercrime. The Institute, Basel Institute of Governance, I think that was last year, rated Nigeria 17th out of 128 as, one of the countries with, high risk of money laundering and terrorist financing. And also, Nigeria makes the news in the FBI International Crime Report, ranking number 16. And totally, Nigeria is losing about 18 billion annually to this problem. So what's the current challenge? The IT landscape is increasing. There are a lot of innovations. We are going to see some of that today. And because of that, the attack surface has increased over time. Hackers are finding new ways to breach organizations. You can agree with me that this year wasn't an exception. If you've been listening to the news, you know what happened to Uber and what happened to the CISO of Uber. In Nigeria, it's difficult because organizations don't report this. Okay, I know Central Bank is doing a lot to ensure that organizations comply, and wherever there is a breach, that they have to report it. I'll start with one of the challenges. There is a lot of data to analyze, and organizations, back home here are not fully there with analyzing such data. So it's heavily a manual process of, analyzing data, customer data, and all that. So there are a lot of lapses when it comes to that. I've spoken about fraudsters being more sophisticated these days. They're always a step ahead. And then you have the increase in cost of compliance. I've spoken to a lot of, CISOs and CTOs, and one of the things they love is compliance. We want to comply. Very little emphasis on protection. Okay, getting the value of having security controls in place. And then you have customers like myself who wants to open a bank app and transact immediately. So I don't like the delays that a lot of our banking apps, do, with exception to Zenith Bank, of course. And I think another one which I'm very particular about is poor secure coding practices. A lot of fintechs are in the space right now, and startups that use technology. And I've seen a lot in the last few years. A lot of fintechs that are API-driven are out there in the cloud, and they don't even understand the attack surface. They don't even know the assets that they have that are out there in the cloud. And we can say that for some of the banks also. And when you do reconnaissance of the assets, and they ask you, is this mine? Is that mine? Right? So when you have your assets all over, and you don't know them, you cannot protect them. And when, throughout your software development lifecycle, if you don't embed security, you will have problems like this. So when there are different payment channels, fraud has evolved. People don't go to the bank and to the banking halls these days to do frauds. So they do it with their mobile phones. They use social engineering to, get through someone into the environment. So if you don't put all the security controls, you would fall victim to, cybercrime and all other types of crimes. Now, KYC and anti-money laundering, monitoring and investigations are current, I'll say, controls that a lot of banks and financial institutions employ. But we all know that that's really outdated. How many banks here really do KYC properly? You might do it when a customer comes in and wants to open an account, but how frequent do you review it? I don't think any bank has ever called me to ask me if my address has changed in the last 1 year. I've moved around Lagos, and I don't see anyone that has come to say, sir, you need to update your address and all that. So it's a big problem. And that brings me to, how we can solve that. But before then, if you can see this is the typical process of how financial institutions put, security controls, from the user journey, starting from opening a bank account to, closing a bank account. And I'll give you a few seconds to just look at this. And I have problems with some of them. If you look at the first risk item, which is fragmented and unverified information, leading to inaccurate risk classification. So when you don't do proper KYC, then, all efforts are lost. And then you have a lot of controls that are in place, which are rule-based. I'll show you in the next slide. It gives you a lot of false positives. I have traveled in the last few months to a lot of places. And when my IP address changes, such rules would apply. Recently, I tried to use my own bank card in a foreign country to register on an app. And I was blacklisted. Why? Because I'm using a Nigerian card in a foreign country. Okay, these are rule-based. Okay, they are not intelligent enough to know that, people move around and all that. I'll move to the next slide. So what proactive steps should organizations be taking? Number one, the people. If you don't have the right people, then you're not going to achieve this. When I say the right people, I mean, very intelligent people, people with the right skill sets, very honest people, because insider threat is a big problem. So what do I mean by insider threat? People carrying out frauds, conniving with individuals that are within the system. And you can agree with me that that's a huge problem in Nigeria. Okay, so have the right people, do your proper KYC on them. And number two, the processes that you have in place. I don't know how many financial institutions align, when it comes to process optimization. So you have, in a lot of organizations, you have the CISO and the security team who fights with the technology team, and you have the internal audit who fights everybody. So proper alignment has to be there. And the whole processes have to, be optimized, starting by reviewing your product lines. How many products do you have? The product owners that want products to go into the market as soon as possible, are they ensuring that the CISO has taken a good look at it? Are they giving the CISO the time required to ensure that the securities or the risk have been identified and taken care of? I spoke about the technology process called, SSDLC, that's Secure Software Development Lifecycle. Customer profiles. People these days, because of seamless, you want people to transact seamlessly, you want people to own accounts, you want to permeate, rural areas. You open accounts and you don't even verify, customer profiles. And of course, CBN and other regulators with their requirements. And finally, on this slide, you have machine learning, which is of interest today. So machine learning helps you with, fraud detection, and it's obviously better than what we currently have. I don't know how many organizations are currently, using machine learning and behavioral analytics to project or anticipate when a fraud is about to happen and stop it in near real time. Okay, so I hope this isn't too technical, but I have two pictures. The first one is what a lot of people have now. It's rule-based. I'm in Nigeria. My address is in the UAE. So why would I be in Nigeria and my customer, the address I have is in the UAE? Maybe I live in the UAE. And I'm in Nigeria for business, okay? And then I have a US line. So a typical rule-based application will look at this and flag it and investigate. Now, a legitimate customer would have suffered delays to transact. It's not so intelligent. But when you use machine learning that is able to analyze in near real time, I don't think anything is real time, by the way. Near real time, look at historic data, look at available data, which is a lot, and is able to find, a pattern and tell you that there's a fraud, okay, that is about to happen. So I think that's what organizations should be embracing. Now, what are the use cases for, using machine learning for real-time fraud detection? Number one is phishing. I spoke about Uber and what happened to the CISO not so long ago, where a lot of people were fired and a lot of job ads came out in information security. It was phishing. But this isn't a silver bullet. Even when you have the right technologies, you have to do your own part, right? So email phishing is a use case. Machine learning can help you look at the subject line, analyze certain things. But then you have to do your own part. Are you setting your SPF records well, DKIM records, and all that? That will be for the technology team to understand. Now, document forgery is another issue. So when people go to the bank and present documents, how are you able to detect that those documents are not fake? Machine learning can do their work and find out if it's able to distinguish a fraudulent document from a real one. Credit card theft, everyone knows about that. As a penetration tester, I'm able to think like a bad one or a bad person. So when I steal a card, for instance, I'm not saying that I steal cards, but when I steal a card, the first thing will be, I don't know how much is in the card, right? And if I immediately try to buy something large, like a Range Rover, of course, banks will catch me. So the first thing will be to buy small items and see if it will go. Buy another item and see if it will go. And if it goes, I'll try a larger item. And that's it. But with machine learning, you're able to, of course, you know the pattern in which a customer transacts. Okay, you know that maybe they transact in the morning and they don't transact at night. Or maybe they use their card to buy just clothes and all that. But suddenly they're buying cars, Rolex watches, and all that. Machine learning is able to detect that there might be a problem. Now, fake applications. This is one that a lot of people don't know. So with your identity, if I'm able to steal your identity, I should be able to open an account on your behalf without you knowing, or sign up to applications without you knowing. So how are you able to detect that the person coming to open an account or registering on an application is the right person? Machine learning helps you with that. And benefits, I have mentioned this time and time and again. Fast and more efficient detection. I don't know how many staff you have that review documents or do KYCs and AML and all that. With the high attrition rate, people jump in and all that. You know that it's very hard for people to manually review this thing. The next one, better prediction with larger data sets. That's what data analysts do. They review a lot of data. Humans can't possibly do that. Human beings have different patterns, different behaviors. There are lots of transactions happening. It's easier with machine learning. And the last one here is cost effective. Now, you might think that purchasing or investing in some of these technologies are very expensive. But the truth is, you only need one instead of hiring a lot of people. And then, these machines, they don't go to sleep. They don't take breaks. They are always working. And we all know frauds can happen any time of the day, 24/7. Okay? And I think that brings me to thank you very much.
Thank you very much.